You don't need to stay stuck in a job that drains you. You just need a plan to walk out with purpose. Let me walk you through it. Hi, my name is Audrey with Audrey After 50. And I want you to know, girlfriend, that I left my job last year and I didn't leave it suddenly. I made a plan and I got out. I am right now 57 years old, so I was 56 when I left that job to work for myself from home. And so I am in the comfort of my home, and you can be too. It is never too late to start something new. So let's talk about it, because you definitely want to have a plan in place. So let me just give you my story. I had been with this company and had rose up to supervisor, and I really enjoyed working with my team. The team that I supervised were across my state, and we went into the office in our respective states a few days a week, and we worked from home a few days a week. So of course we kept in touch over Zoom. And we went out into our communities to do our work. So I had a great cohesive team, but I had a CEO who was unrealistic, who was, what do they call it when they're watching over your shoulders? She was a micromanager. And she had really, I've always been a go-getter, but she had really unrealistic expectations. And she would call you out on those things in front of everyone on our Zoom company meeting. So she was very disrespectful in that way. And she was never encouraging. When you did a great job, she was slow to acknowledge or would not acknowledge at all, but she would always point out what she thought wasn't going just the way she wanted it to. And so, that along with not having command of my own time, having to, ask for time off to go to the doctor's appointment or to go on vacation. And they got this thing where, well, if your vacation coincides with someone else's, that's not going to work. And, just too many hoops to jump through. And as grown adults, we want command of our own time. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with having a 9-to-5 job, because many people thrive on a 9-to-5 job, especially if it's a job where the culture is great, the atmosphere is great, and you love what you do. You might be thriving on your 9-to-5 and have no desire to work for yourself, and that is fine. Someone has to do the 9-to-5, right? But I do believe it's always good to have something of your own on the side of your 9-to-5, whether it's, you have some extra money for investments, because we know that a 9-to-5 is not going to necessarily make us wealthy unless we're in certain fields. But it's always good to have something of your own on the side as well. But for this video, it's for those of you who are tired of the 9-to-5 and you're ready to fire your boss. So let's talk about how we can make that happen without being rash. We never just want to, just quit our 9-to-5 and without a savings or something to fall back on while we're building our business. So let's talk about this. First, you want to evaluate your life and finances. Now, what I did was I evaluated, by the time frame that I left my job was the same time frame that my husband retired. I'm 57, he is 63, soon to be 64. So he retired last year. I have no plans of stopping earning income anytime soon. But I wanted to make sure that we had our financial situation in a good place, since he was retiring and I was going to come home and start working for myself. So we started just kind of going over, where is money going? So we started looking at where we could kind of cut some costs. And so we evaluated all the streaming services that we had to see what we wanted to keep and what we wanted to let go. We evaluated how much we were paying for auto insurance to see if there is a way to kind of cut down on some of that expense. We looked at our cable bill, and which wasn't cable, but stream, I don't know what it was, DirecTV. We looked at that to see how we could either cut back on DirecTV or choose an alternative. So we chose an alternative because we were paying well over $200 a month, and it could have been somewhere around $250 a month or so for DirecTV. So we went ahead and switched to YouTube TV, which we like a whole lot better. And that brought that bill down to just over $100. So we evaluated where money was going and kind of took a look at those things that we could cut down. So I would advise you to do the same. First look at your finances, see what you can cut back on. You want to also evaluate what is it that you would like to do. You might already know what you would like to do, but oftentimes people struggle with trying to figure out what they might be good at. And so, there are some questions that you can consider to figure out what you would like to do, what kind of work you would like to do for yourself. Consider what kind of work energizes you. Are you good at administrative tasks? Maybe you could be a virtual assistant. You could start a virtual assistant business, starting with just you yourself. And as you grow, you could expand and take on other virtual assistants, whether you hire them or you make them independent contractors who are a part of your business. Just think about what you're good at, what brings you joy when you do it. Now, I have a few things. I teach college part-time because I love education. Now, that is a part-time job, so that's one that I'll never let go of because I love it. I do it from home. It's part-time. And I've been doing that for about 20 years. So that's one source of part-time income that I'll never let go of because I love it so much. So you want to do something that you really enjoy. It energizes me. It doesn't drain me at all whatsoever. But that's just part-time. I also am a mental health counselor. I counsel from a Christian perspective. So I have my own mental health counseling practice that I do from home over the internet, over Zoom or whatever other platform that I would like to use. I've always been a counselor at heart, and I totally enjoy that. So I have a small counseling practice that brings in income. I teach courses part-time. I'm a certified notary in my state. And as a notary, I'm able to do at-home court reporting. When I left my job last year, I needed something to, pretty much replace my full-time income or come very close to replacing my full-time income. And so before I left my job, I learned about a way that I could use my notary certification via court reporting. I had every intention of doing some loan signing, and as a notary, you can become a loan signing agent. And so I was going to go to people's house or go to the title company or wherever the title company wanted me to go to sign off on people's home loans, their mortgage loan. Now, I felt like I wouldn't mind doing that kind of work, but I was not so keen on driving all over creation to get that work done. But I was willing to do it rather than work a 9-to-5. And so I did a couple of loan signings, but I found out about court reporting. I could do that completely from home, wouldn't have to drive all over creation if I did it from home. There are some instances where you can do it at the courthouse or wherever the attorneys may need you to do it. I choose not to do any court reporting outside of my house. And so I do it 100% from home. And that replaced the bulk of my income. So I do counseling. I teach online for a university, and I do court reporting all from home. And I just love it. My home is my sanctuary. Having my day center around my home life, it just brings me joy and peace and serenity, and that is good for your health. If you're in a job that's stressing you out, God doesn't want you in that situation, period. So now think of what kind of work energizes you. Think of the skills you already have. What skills are you using for your current job that you could use in a business for yourself? You know, whatever you're doing now, God can use those skills to help you to start a business of your own. Make sure to build an emergency fund before you leave your job and start your business. Now, ideally, if you can start your business on the side while you're still working, that is the ideal thing to do. I started studying court reporting while I was still working full time. This is a short class. It's supposed to only take 10 weeks. Took me a couple months because I was working full time, 9 to 5, and I was teaching online. So I had to squeeze it into my day the best that I could. So it took me a couple of months, but it's supposed to take just 10 weeks to learn the court reporting. So I began to learn that so that I could replace the bulk of my income, the bulk of my full-time income with this court reporting. So try to start before you leave your job if you can, whatever it is that you're going to do. Also, make sure that you have an emergency fund. Try to have 6 months of reserves for your bills so that when you transition to working for yourself from home, your bills won't miss a beat while you're building that business. So you might want to go ahead and create a 6 to 12 month exit goal. I had started thinking about working for myself from home the year prior. And so I did my research. I was looking for things online, and I did find this lady online who was talking about, using her notary stamp to do court reporting. I enrolled in a school and I started working on it. So have a 6 to 12 month plan in place for exiting your job. If you can start a side hustle to get yourself going, set a monthly goal for what you want to make while you're doing that side hustle. Track your progress as needed so that you can tweak whatever needs to be tweaked as you're moving toward your exit plan. And remember, leaving your job is not reckless. God wants you to enjoy your work day, whether you're working for yourself or working for someone else. It's always been my opinion that we spend too much of our time working to not enjoy what we're doing, whether we're working for someone else or working for ourselves. We need to enjoy it. It needs to energize us. It needs to be purposeful for us. It needs to be something that we can get joy and pride from doing, knowing that we've made a difference in someone's life in some way. And, that we're not just working to pay the bills and doing something that we absolutely hate or that is absolutely draining us. God absolutely doesn't want us living that way. Okay. And I want you to know that God is not through with you. If you're serious about leaving your job to follow your calling, then comment exit plan in the comments. And if you want to talk to me a little bit more beyond the words exit plan, tell me about what you're experiencing and what you want to do differently. And don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can continue to receive these videos and maybe some ideas for how you can earn money on your own from home. See you in the next one.